Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast is on Rogan. And first of all, I didn't know this guy was 23 years old.
It's crazy. It's fucking crazy.
He's so impressive.
So impressive.
If you guys don't know who Mr. Beast is, he is the number one. Yeah, you guys know. Okay, fine. But if you didn't know, he's the number one YouTube creator in the world. I think he's got, between all his accounts, over 200 million followers. He did this amazing recreation of the Squid Game.
Yeah.
And that was probably on your radar. I think that was one of the first things, not the first things of him, but like one of the first things that really crossed over mainstream.
People who didn't even know YouTube, really.
Exactly.
Like barely were on it. You heard about that.
If you know YouTube, you're watching this on YouTube, you see Mr. Beast stuff. He does all these amazing challenges, all these incredible videos, racking up 50 million views, 100 million views. He recreates Squid Game, builds out the set. I think he spent $4 million on it. It gets more views than Squid Game.
Yeah.
The recreation of Squid Game got more views than Squid Game. It's fucking unbelievable.
229 million views.
Yeah.
He
It
goes
got
on
more
Rogan.
views than I think Netflix has subscribers.
Amazing. That's right. Netflix has like 200 million subscribers. So he's out there. He goes on Rogan. He has this great conversation on Rogan. I haven't finished it just yet, but he is so, first of all, likable and endearing.
Incredible, man.
Like,
Sweet.
He should be president. I swear to God, that's the guy that I'm like, this kid should be a president.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't feel that way at all.
I 100% felt that way.
I literally didn't get that feeling at all.
Go ahead.
He literally says at one point, I didn't even know how to talk to people.
Yeah.
Yeah, he should only be president if the entire country is just YouTube.
Yeah, let him be president of entertainment.
I don't think
But
he's the
I don't
most...
want him negotiating like a deal with Iran.
Oh, I think if he hyper obsessed on geopolitical politics, he'd figure the shit out.
Oh, there you go. I agree with you in that regard.
He has two things that I want from a leader.
Yeah. You
Hyper
needed a
obsession.
caveat. You needed a good caveat for that statement. Yeah.
Let's lead with the ridiculous and then try to justify. Hyper obsessive and seemingly selfless, or at least not materialistic. When he was just like, I don't understand the point of getting money to buy a bigger box and get a bigger box. I don't understand the appeal of that. It's so dumb to me. Me, I want the bigger box. I know I shouldn't be president.
Well, you haven't gotten robbed yet.
He got robbed, and then he was like, that's the only reason I moved.
Stuff. And that's what the robbers also felt. You didn't need it.
No, he said that's the only reason he moved into a nicer place is because his expensive stuff got stolen. And then he was like, well, I don't need the nicer stuff, but I don't want my software or whatever, hardware, whatever the fuck to get stolen.
Yeah.
So let's get a nicer place.
Yes.
But before that, and he can reinvest everything in the company.
Yes.
He doesn't care about any of this shit. He's just hyper obsessed with YouTube, and that's it.
Yes.
And that's the kind of guy that I'm like, this is so impressive. He's not into all this other shit.
Yes.
He doesn't see. Didn't you tell me he took a 3-year vow of celibacy?
Yeah, I think he said that on Colin Samir. He was like, yeah, I just hit up my boys and we're like, yeah, we're just not dating or having sex or going after women. We're just focused on this.
When he's focused on a thing, that's all there is. I love that. Mine was more, involuntary, but I love a person that's like, when I set a goal, that's it. There's nothing stopping me.
Yeah.
It made me think focused young people are always undefeated. Listening to that episode, I saw such a generational gap between Rogan and him. And like Rogan was confused and he was confused. He was confused about Rogan's sort of movie references. And Rogan was kind of like confused. Wait.
You bought an island?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my favorite
that kind
part.
of mutual... it made me think of like how antiquated the idea of mainstream media is as a term. Like these are the two biggest media figures right now, right? YouTube's a bigger platform than Netflix.
Yes.
Yeah.
Podcasting is a bigger thing than television.
news and
Here's
TV,
the two titans of this industry. And even they don't have this like shared worldview about the media landscape.
Yeah.
But when we think about the future, I think it is people like Mr. Beast just, oh shit, we have young people that can just figure this out on their own, be completely tied into the analytics, get data back, and just grow their audience, reinvest. Like, it made me very bullish on... I bought more Google stock when I heard that interview.
Really?
Yeah, it's like Google or YouTube already makes more money than Netflix.
Yeah.
And they got people like this that they don't have to risk. There's no risk to finding the next Mr. Beast.
Yeah.
YouTube's not paying him.
Yeah.
They're just allowing him.
Yeah.
And he's coming up. And he's a bigger star than anyone Netflix has.
Yeah.
They had to lose money on that stupid Leonardo DiCaprio movie just so they could say we have DiCaprio on the platform.
Yeah.
Mr. Beast is way bigger. And they didn't pay him anything. And he's like not even in his prime yet.
Yeah, that's
What's
true.
that guy going to be doing 10 years from now?
Yeah, he's only 23 years old.
Yeah. I mean, you got to the part where he said every day for a year, basically from like 7 a.m. till 10 p.m., all he did was study YouTube. Didn't put out a single thing.
Yeah. And he
Just
said
studied.
something interesting within that was like him and like 4 of his friends.
Yeah.
And friends, and putting in quotes, I guess he's met these people on the internet and they basically were just studying YouTube videos. What works? I think they looked at like every YouTube video that got over 10,000 views. And they're like, why is this getting more than 10,000? Like, how often are they doing angle changes? Like, dissected every single part of the video making process to see like what was successful. And I'm sure they've done that a million times over, but he said something really interesting. He's like, you learn from your failures. And let's say you fail 20 times in a year, right? If you have 5 other friends that are also creating the same stuff, they're also going to fail 20 times. Now and if you actually share information with one another, you failed 100 times in that 1 year. You've lived 5 years of failures in 1 year.
Yeah.
So you're exponentially increasing your ability to succeed. Yeah. And it was just really cool to see him put it like that.
Think of it as generational evolution, right? So like Rogan sort of uses YouTube to help blow up his podcast.
Yeah.
But he's not really thinking about it. And then you're kind of watching that and you're using YouTube intentionally to grow your podcast. And then you leverage it and get the sort of show on Netflix and play around and do these other things. He's a generation younger than you. And he's saying like, oh, he doesn't want to do a Netflix show.
Yeah.
YouTube is prestige for him. Whereas your generation is still a little bit like we want to use YouTube as a tool, not as an end goal.
Yes.
He's 100% all in because it's like he sees it as the prestigious platform because that's all he watched growing up. It's all his friends watched growing up. So his motivations for both growth and endgame are all tied into one platform. So he has like one target and just like slams away, just hitting that one target and is crushing it.
And to clarify our position, I think that YouTube is the end goal.
Yeah.
But I recognize that people my age and around my age don't realize that yet.
Yeah.
So doing something like Netflix is like getting that kind of like blue check because it allows people around our age to go, oh yeah, they're really doing it.
It's validation for people. A lot of people our age who aren't trying to stay relevant. And
if those are the rules of the game, not the rules, but if
Yeah.
that's how people see stuff and they're hardwired almost to see it like that, you kind of have to do it in order to take them over. Now that they see that little validation from Netflix, they come to all of our YouTube stuff and they go, oh, this is awesome. I love that. Oh yeah, that's the Netflix guy.
Yeah.
I love the freedom that his generation has where they see YouTube as the validator. They see 1 million subscribers as the validator and they're just like, this is where it is. I don't even know what fucking channel the ABC is on or whatever. Like this is, I mean, that was what changed it all for me. I remember my nephew say, I asked him to put the game on and he was like, what channel's on? I go, ABC. And he goes, what channel's that?
Yeah.
Young people are undefeated when it comes to predicting culture. They're always going to get
Well,
it
they are
right.
culture.
Yeah.
They drive
they
culture.
are culture. And they have unlimited time.
Yeah.
Like if you really think about it, when you're young, you feel like you have so much responsibility and so much shit to do, but you're really at school from, I don't know, what is it, like 8? When do you have to be at
8
school
a.m.
now?
to 3 p.m.
Like
8? It's 8? I was about to
Everyone's
say
homeschooled
10.
now.
I had no
channel
fucking
is
clue.
it?
Yeah. No, 8 to 3, right?
Yeah.
You're 8 to 3. There's so much time in the day to just spend fucking editing, doing absolutely nothing. Like we spend it playing football outside of my apartment or like playing basketball, do that kind of shit. But what if editing videos is your football?
Right.
But like back in the day, editing was so fucking time consuming, dude.
Yeah.
Like I had Final Cut as a kid and just waiting for the videotapes to convert over. It was just, forget it. It was so much fucking time. Now what these kids are able to do, it's unbelievable. Why would you not go all in on it?
They are. And
I mean,
Yeah, I mean that's an occupation now that kids want to be. Like if you ask,
number
like,
one, right?
Yeah, it's like YouTuber is the thing, and it blows my mind that you guys ever had to deal with a generation where you were a YouTube comedian, or that you were a YouTube performer, or that you were any like YouTube was the antecedent for anything, or the precedent for any word. Like it's just insane.
Yeah.
that was the thing that was
YouTuber is celebrity the way actor was celebrity. Like if you said I want to be an actor, celebrity was just intrinsically in that. YouTuber, it wasn't. For these kids, YouTuber intrinsically means celebrity if you're big enough. Like you just assume, oh, big YouTuber, that's a celebrity.
I really wonder how many of these celebrity actors now, like how many outside of maybe the people in Euphoria, and even them, we can only name a few of them by name.
Yeah.
Like actors are not common knowledge.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
no.
Like think about a show that we're all watching. Can we name the actors on the show outside of Zendaya? And I don't even know Zendaya's last name. And I think she's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Does she have a last name? She just
She goes
one
by
name.
Zendaya. I don't think she puts it out there.
Okay.
But yeah, if they've crossed over to movies, movies are still a fucking thing. Tom Holland, Zendaya, you know
they
them.
a thing?
They're movie stars.
Are they a
I
thing?
don't think Marvel movies are.
Marvel's a thing. Outside, I saw Batman. Batman, okay, but these are old franchises that we're bringing up, and even the new Marvel, I don't even think people are watching like that. What movie that is brand new are people going out for? I mean, are they still going to see The Rock? Like The Rock did that thing where he's on a boat in the jungle boat. Did people go see it?
Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know. Like I know the old franchises that are grandfathered in, Fast and Furious, that kind of stuff. Yeah, people are seeing.
That's why they need to reboot, because we're the ones still going to see movies, and they need to appeal to us.
Yeah.
Jumanji, that's familiar. I'll go see that.
100%. That's why they're remaking the same shit, because it needs to tap into our nostalgia.
Yeah.
Batman, run it back. Spider-Man, run it back. Don't give me no new fucking superheroes. These kids aren't going to go do it.
Yeah.
They're watching all their shit on YouTube or what's it called, Netflix anyway.
Right.
So not watching movies is cool. I told you guys. I told you it was long enough. You know what I mean? I was just starting that. That's why I didn't watch movies. Not 'cause I
That's
was
it.
smart.
You were ahead of the game.
Listening to the interview. How much validation did you feel for all the things you've pitched?
Finally, dude. No, I don't know. I just love Mr. Beast.
Yeah.
Like his dedication to it, and the fact that he started in North Carolina and stays there.
Stayed there.
And like they have employees that are coming from LA and New York to North Carolina to just work on what he's doing. And the way that he's masterminded like all the sets and all the production, like logistically incredible. And then like the way the data powers it is just like.
Have you gotten to the food kitchen and all that shit?
Yeah.
I'm familiar with it, but not from the interview.
He's a food kitchen that he puts up in cities that don't necessarily have. He says big cities, everybody gets food kitchens, and the big or every big city is a food kitchen. I go to cities where there's not a food kitchen necessarily, and they don't have access to it, and we feed like 200 people every 2 weeks, 200 families, and we give them good quality food. And then he talked about Beast Burgers and his candy bars, and he was like, I want them to be healthy. Nobody's gonna buy them, so I just make them as not shitty as possible for you. But like to be 23 years old and legitimately thinking like, I don't care about my personal gain beyond this YouTube thing growing. I just want to help as many people as possible outside of that. It's just fucking, it blows me away that a 23-year-old is like that. I've never seen a kid like that in my life.
Maturity.
There was so much joy too in the thing. Like it was
he
all
was
like
just geeked
positive
out. Mad excitable,
motivation. It wasn't like I'm going to prove everyone wrong.
Yeah.
And it made me hopeful that it wasn't like that Michael Jordan motivation.
Yes.
Where it's like, I got chip on my shoulder. I'm a dick to everybody. Have to like put my teammates down. It was the exact opposite of that.
Yeah.
It was like I have this awesome team. This person that runs the food kitchen,
Yes.
he's amazing. He should get a lot of credit. And if he's like the biggest thing for that generation on the biggest platform, like it's fucking great.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. This is the first time there's a GOAT that you're like, yo, I want my kid to be like this.
Yeah.
On and off the platform of
He's what we wanted child actors to be.
Yes.
This is better when we let them figure it out themselves.
Yeah. And I also didn't realize he had Crohn's disease.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing he brings up that I had no idea. Like he has this disease that like I don't really understand all of it, but like it's basically like an intestinal issue that like just causes you to be like lethargic, like causes you to have like intestinal pain, like all these things that you would think counteract all those stuff he puts out, like the amount of work and time that goes into creating this stuff. But he just pushes through and doesn't use that as like an adversity he's overcoming. He's like, yeah, it's just this thing I have. I just thought it was so cool.
Is he the coolest, like normal looking young person ever? But he's not like Logan's kind of like a big jacked athletic kid. He was like the football player at the high school.
Yeah.
This guy is so kind of just nondescript,
Unassuming.
looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's the biggest thing in media. So that's
the thing about the biggest thing in media is so interesting to me because to me, he's the biggest thing on YouTube. But if you're not on YouTube, you don't even know who Mr. Beast is.
Yeah.
And the Squid Game thing was the first time where I think he crossed over, where I think like traditional media was having like conversations about Mr. Beast. Like if you're in YouTube like us, you love this guy, this guy's a genius. My parents don't know who he is. My parents know who Rogan is.
Yeah.
So there is a threshold that he would need to cross to become ubiquitous.
Well, I would say the threshold is if you do have one version of your show that's 4 times bigger than the Super Bowl in audience, that's the threshold.
I don't think so.
What is it?
I think what happens is eventually the old people age out and they just die, and then his audience just becomes what media is. But what's quite interesting is that he doesn't feel like he needs to jump outside of the YouTube space. Like, he's all in on the YouTube space. I'm going to create content that's great for YouTube, and I'm not going to... He could parody every big show. He could parody Euphoria. He could parody every single one and get crazy views, but he's not chasing it. And I think there's something really interesting about it. Because if you notice what happened when he did something outside the YouTube space, the Squid Game thing was the biggest thing he's ever done by far.
Yeah.
Right? So what does that mean? That means that people who aren't used to watching him watched.
Yeah.
And...
That was the first thing I saw. I remember being I would hear you talking about him, and I assumed it was some 40-year-old kind of douchey guy, calls himself Mr. Beast. And I saw this, like, adorable kid. I was like, what the fuck? This is Mr. Beast?
Yeah.
And that's how I found out who he was. Because if you're not plugged into YouTube, like, I'm out of touch. I have no problem admitting that. And our parents don't give a fuck about scrolling YouTube.
Viewership is so compartmentalized that the biggest person on YouTube can be completely anonymous to people who aren't watching YouTube.
That tracks.
And especially because he's creating content that isn't based on controversy. If you're creating content around controversy, then naturally, like Rogan, you're going to be picked up by the mainstream media. They're going to be reacting to your stuff. What is CNN ever going to be upset about? Him doing? What is Fox News ever going to be upset about him doing? He's not coming out here. He's not going, hey, these are my views, and you should be judged if you don't feel the exact same way about this issue. He's just going, this is going to be the most watchable thing on the fucking planet this week. And it is.
Yeah. Sorry, you said something. You said mainstream media, and something you brought up earlier. We're the last group of people that's going to call that mainstream media.
Yeah, it's dead, huh?
Yeah.
It's just dying.
We keep calling it mainstream media, but like you said, Rogan gets more views than all the news networks.
Yep.
Beast gets more views than every TV show that's ever existed.
Yeah.
They're mainstream media. We just have these old terms that we've latched onto.
Yeah.
Mainstream media is CNN. No, it's not.
Yeah.
Mainstream media is Rogan.
Yeah.
Mainstream media is HBO
Legacy
Max.
media, we should
Legacy
call it.
media.
Yeah.
Yeah. Legacy media and modern media.
Yes.
Those are the terms.
Yeah.
Because modern media is Mr. Beast and Rogan.